Hello everybody watching on YouTube, and welcome to race number 14 of Season 10 NNSCRA Walmart Cup Series action. I am Levi McIntyre, excuse me, a.k.a. Thrash Maniac 99, the voice of NNSCRA Walmart Cup Series, here to welcome you to the Pocono 400 at Pocono Raceway as we get set for 20 laps of racing at the Tricky Triangle. But before we take a look at the lineup, let's look at how the top 20 in points look coming in this week. After last week's mid-season finale of the regular season, Pichu London leads the points by 20 points over Matt Skoenberger. Third is Michael Norman. Fourth, Austin Mongold. Fifth, David Rivera. Sixth is Tim Walsh. Seventh, Jesse Setti. Eighth, Zach Rogers. Ninth, Steven Guerrero. 10th, Carson Gum. Excuse me again. Rest of the top 20 in points as they stand coming into the race today: Matt McIntyre, Anthony McCrory, Chase Oliver, Joshua Collard, Dylan Young, Charles Sanford. Our pole sitter for today, James McLeod, DJ Curtis, Dylan Thoreau, and Kyle Matthews. So starting here today at Pocono, it's the chase to the chase. Who's going to make the chase for the championship when we get to the final 10 races of the season, and who will be out? Currently, if the chase were to start, the two wildcard drivers would be Charles Sanford and Chase Oliver. Charles Sanford being 16th in points with 2 wins, and Chase Oliver for being the highest outside the top 10 with 1 win. But anything can still happen here in these next 13 races starting today. But let's look at the starting lineup for the race today at Pocono. Starting in the last row will be Sky Commons and Chris Washer. In the top 10, James McLeod is on the pole. Starting next to him is Michael Norman. Row 2 will be Alex Ferranti and Austin Mongold. Row 3 is Tim Walsh and Tanner Sullivan. Row 4, James Qualls and Dylan Young. And then row 5 is Zach Rogers and Connor Morgan. So with that being said, let's get the command to fire engines excuse me, for the Pocono 400 at Pocono.
Drivers, start your engines!
Cars revving up for their engines to start. And now they begin their one pace lap around the Tricky Triangle. Who knows what we can expect here today, because I think this is the first time ever in Walmart Cup Series history that we are running the 2012 version of Pocono with the new repaved surface, as well as the safer barriers right there on the straightaways. James McLeod, who came out last week at Charlotte with a solid finish in the top 10 and was one of the dominant cars of the Coke 600, moved up into the top 20 in points, into 17th in points. He definitely would love to win here today in order to get himself into contention for a potential wild card spot for the chase for the championship. But there are other guys who are wanting it just as bad, and as well as people who are in the top 10 that want to get more wins in order to really solidify their place in the chase. But then you also got drivers here who are looking for their first win ever in the series. Guys like Connor Morgan and people like that who are definitely wanting to get win number 1 of their careers. And for Connor Morgan, he's trying to get into the top 30 in points, and he's only 13 points out. So we'll see how this race will fare for him, as well as anybody else outside the top 30 that's in the race today. Boogity, 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 let's go racing. Excuse me again. Oh, and we already got a crash. And it's a huge wreck. Holy cow, Kev Shearer's barrel rolling like mad. Holy moly. Already in turn 1. Multi-car accident. Kev Shearer involved. Anthony Ritchie. Anthony McCreary. Connor Morgan got involved. Johnny Gardner as well. But these guys are still racing. They're trying to race back to the line. Oh, Pichu London's into the wall. But he keeps it down and he keeps from wrecking. And McLeod leads lap number 1 here today. Caution flag is out. After something happening in turn number 1 that caused the 12 of Kev Shearer to barrel roll like crazy. I don't think I've seen a barrel roll quite like that in a long time. There's the 5, the 61 on pit road, but the 81 and the 77 are going to continue on track without coming on the pit road. But what is the 61 and the 5 going to do? McCreary is out, and Ritchie for sure looks like he'll be out because he's got smoke coming out of the car. Kev Shearer's still on pit road, but I expect him to retire soon. But anyways, let's go ahead and take a look at a replay of what brought the caution out for the first time today here at Pocono. Well, they were going 3 wide already into turn 1, and then right there it's 4 wide. Anthony Ritchie runs up into Johnny Gardner, spins Connor Morgan out, and then McCreary and Shearer get involved, and then there you see the 12 back there going for that wild barrel roll. Not sure how in the world that all got started with the 12 and the 61. Let's take a look. Oh, it was Shelton that came up in the McCreary and then ends up turning the 12. Takes a hard hit in the outside wall and then a hit in the McCreary, and then he hits the outside wall and it got his car to up in the air, and then it started to barrel roll down the banking. But man, that was a wild ride. This should give us a good shot of how the 12 got going to flip. Right there after that hit from the 61, and then it bounced up, and then it hit the outside wall, and then that's how it got the car to really get going as far as flips go. But holy cow, that was just a violent flip for the 12. Let's actually count the amount of times that car went barrel rolling. Excuse me again. So let's begin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times that thing went over. That was a crazy barrel roll for the 12. But yeah, that was a look at everything that occurred under that caution, so let's go ahead and take you to the restart here at Pocono. Well, after that first caution, we have 3 cars out of the race, and they include Anthony McCreary, Anthony Ritchie, and Kev Shearer, just as I expected. But pit strategy going down. Some cars elected to stay out, and a lot of them went in to top off on gas. So pit strategy is definitely going to be a big factor here today. But Austin Mongold is your leader. Excuse me. Second is Tim Walsh. Third, Alex Ferranti. Fourth, Seth Cole. Fifth, Dorian Facepuncher. Sixth is Carson Gumbs. Seventh is Kyle Matthews. Eighth, David Rivera. Ninth, Marco Martinez. 10th, Pichu London. 11th is Matt McIntyre. 12th, Chris Michaels. 13th, James McLeod. 14th, Michael Norman. 15th, James Qualls. 16th, Dylan Young. 17th, Chase Oliver. 18th is Zach Rogers. 19th is Carson Scott. 20th, Steven Guerrero. Sorry about that again. 21st, Jessica Sheldon. 22nd is Tanner Sullivan. 23rd, Preston Plord. 24th, John Cittadino. 25th, Trent Dunham. 26th, Nathan Hudson. 27th, Dougie Shears. 28th is DJ Curtis. 29th, Jesse Setti. 30th, Charles Sanford. 31st is Joshua Collard. 32nd, Matt Skoenberger. 33rd, last week's winner, Sean Galligan. 34th, Chris Washer. 35th is Charles Jackson. 36th is Dylan Thoreau. 37th is Sky Commons. 38th, Connor Morgan. And then 39th is Johnny Gardner. Getting ready to come off turn 3 to take the green flag with 15 laps to go here in the Pocono 400. I apologize for that again. Phlegm, what can I tell you? It messes your throat up. Already a pass for the lead. Tim Walsh going to go by Austin Mongold for the top spot. Although Mongold hanging in strong on the high lane, but it's going to be possibly 3 wide for second between Seth Cole, Alex Ferranti, and Austin Mongold. Whoa! Contact! And there they go! Oh, this is going to be a mess. Holy cow! Oh my goodness. The big one has struck here in Pocono. With a couple cars going for wild rides. Connor Morgan, more damage. Chris Washer with big time damage. Same with Collard. Zach Rogers was involved. DJ Curtis got big damage. Same with Trent Dunham. John Cittadino, Jesse Setti, Dylan Young. James McLeod was the one that delivered the big hit to the 16 of Mongold. Carson Gum on the pit road. Charles Jackson was involved. And now they're running into each other under pacing. I don't know why. Whoa, Carson Scott runs into the back of Steven Guerrero for no reason. But Tim Walsh is your race leader. Let's take a look at a replay of what brought the caution out for the second time today here at Pocono. Well, here we are in super slow-mo, and this is where the wreck starts when Seth Cole made it 3 wide going into 2, and he got really tight, and he comes up into Alex Ferranti, into Austin Mongold, and then with the contact, it gets them all to hit the outside wall, but Seth Cole just barely hit it, but kept going. But it's the 16 and the 25. Right there, Carson Gum gives a shot to the 25 of Alex Ferranti to send him spinning. But watch when James McLeod comes into the picture right there, right on the Mongold. Right there was a huge hit that sent the 16 high up in the air. And whoa, look at that! Holy cow! Dylan Young ran right into the back. And then look at that. The 41 of Preston Plord goes underneath the 16. We need to look at those two portions again. First, right there, McLeod gives the 16 a big hit, and then right there, Dylan Young gave a huge hit to McLeod. They both go airborne with Dylan Young's car, all 4 of his wheels up off the ground. Same with the 51, and the 51 was already airborne prior. And the 16's car just ended up going for a couple of crazy, like, X-game looking flips. Let's watch the 16. Yeah, once he hit that wall, it sent him flipping over once right there. And then it just sends him spinning almost like a pirouetting. And then it goes spinning like a top in the air. The 41 went underneath of him. And then right there, the 43 of Collard gave a huge shot to Alex Ferranti, and then Jesse Setti took a big hit. And I think it's going to come from Chris Washer's machine. Right there, sent her car spinning around, and then Washer takes a hard hit into the inside safer barrier. And then Connor Morgan's going to give a big hit to Dylan Thoreau right there. Sends his car on top of the wall for a time being. But I mean, just the carnage that took place was just absolutely incredible. I mean, the cars I think took the worst of that wreck were the 2, the 51, the 16, the 22, and the 35. But just watch those two. The 51, the 2, both of their cars went airborne. The 68 almost went underneath of the 16. And then there you see more carnage when the 9 gets spun around as a result of getting into someone. I'm not sure. Let's see what happened with that. Oh, he was behind the 68, and then he's going to hit James McLeod right there and then come up into Carson Scott. But Carson Scott managed to get through more unscathed. But holy cow, this was just an absolute crazy accident. We're going to have to take a few onboards. On board with the 51 of James McLeod. This is going to be wild. On board with Dylan Young. This is going to be hard. Watch this. You saw how high and how much air he got as a result. Finally on board with Austin Mongold, and this is where the wreck starts. Man. I'm just glad all those guys are okay. Well, as a result of that crazy big one that we just witnessed at Pocono, cars that are retired out of the race after that were Carson Scott, Zach Rogers, Johnny Gardner, Connor Morgan, Jesse Setti, Preston Plord, Dylan Young, James McLeod, Austin Mongold, Alex Ferranti, Dougie Shears, Joshua Collard, Chris Washer, and Dylan Thoreau as they join Anthony McCurry, Anthony Ritchie, and Kev Shearer. 25 cars left on track. Dorian Facepuncher is your race leader. Second is David Rivera. Third is Tim Walsh. Fourth is Marco Martinez. Fifth is Kyle Matthews. Sixth is Matt McIntyre. Seventh is Michael Norman. Eighth is Pichu London. Ninth is James Qualls. 10th is Chris Michaels. 11th is Chase Oliver. 12th, John Cittadino. 13th, Nathan Hudson. 14th, Sean Galligan. 15th, Matt Skoenberger with a buckle on his hood. 16th, Sky Commons. 17th is DJ Curtis. 18th, Steven Guerrero. 19th, Jessica Sheldon. 20th, Carson Gum. 21st, Charles Sanford. 22nd, Trent Dunham. 23rd, Tanner Sullivan. 24th, Charles Jackson. And then 25th is Seth Cole. But we're going to have quite a good amount of cars that are going to be off the pace as a result of no hoods and damage. So it's probably going to come down to one of the guys inside the top 11 or so. As the green flag is back out at the halfway point, 10 laps to go here in the Pocono 400 in what has been a chaotic, caution-filled race. We have not gotten an official green flag lap in. Battle for the lead, David Rivera goes by Dorian Facepuncher for position, but Facepuncher hanging in on the high lane. Let's just hope we don't get another one of those situations from earlier with the 25 to 52 and the 16. It doesn't look like it. And the 6 is going to get clear of the 62. Whoa, leaning between Martinez and Matthews, but they settle it. Tim Walsh trying to go by for second over the 62 car. More contact between the 78 and the 94. Careful, gentlemen. Oh, they're sideways, and there they go again. Right before we got to the line, the caution flag comes out. They spin it around, but they save it. And the 62 and the 52 came in the pit road, possibly at the worst time. Caution is out again. But luckily this time it wasn't a significant wreck. It was just a solo car spin. But let's take a look and see how the third caution came out happened. I mean, these two, Martinez and Matthews, were leaning for quite a while as it gets pretty much 4 wide right there, coming off of 3. And right there, the 94 comes up into the 78, and that's going to send the 94's car, or the 94 car, spinning. And luckily, only just a little scrape from James Qualls, but luckily for the 94, no big damage, and he's actually going to be able to keep continuing throughout the rest of the race. But let's go ahead and take you to the restart at Pocono. No cars retired after that caution, so all 25 cars left on track are still out there. Though more pit strategy took place, as Tim Walsh is your leader. Second is Michael Norman. Third is Pichu London. Fourth, Matt McIntyre. Fifth is Chase Oliver. Sixth is Chris Michaels. Seventh, John Cittadino. Eighth, Nathan Hudson. Ninth is James Qualls. 10th, Matt Skoenberger. 11th, Sky Commons. 12th, Sean Galligan. 13th, DJ Curtis. 14th, Jessica Shelton. 15th, Steven Guerrero. 16th, Charles Sanford. 17th, Tanner Sullivan. 18th, Charles Jackson. 19th, Marco Martinez. 20th, Trent Dunham. 21st, Kyle Matthews. 22nd, Dorian Facepuncher. 23rd, David Rivera. 24th, Carson Gum. And Seth Cole in 25th. I guess he ran out of gas. He's trying to get back in the pit road, and he's out of fuel. I guess they didn't fill up his gas tank enough under that last caution, so you gotta wonder if they're gonna have to wave off the restart. Oh, never mind, now the 52's on the pit road after he ran out of gas. So it looks like we're gonna get to be able to go back to racing, but that was bizarre. The 52 ended up just running out of fuel somehow. Pretty much goes to show you the pit window here is not very big. And the 52's still on pit road, but green flag is going to be out with 5 laps to go. Here we go, 5 to go, and I got a feeling if we get another caution, the race will be finished. So this is basically a battle for the win now. Michael Norman trying to get the lead. Pichu London trying to approach that as well, as Seth Cole is still on pit road. Michael Norman trying to overtake that spot, though it's going to get a little wacky here in just a few moments if they're not careful. Looking around to make sure nothing crazy's going to go down, and it looks like everything's alright for the time being. Maybe, just maybe, we'll be able to finish this race under green, potentially. So far, everybody's holding up together pretty well. Our first official green flag lap has been concluded, and Seth Cole's now back out on the racetrack. Though he's a lap down. Battle for second with Pichu London, Tim Walsh, as they nearly made contact with each other. And this is exactly what the 3 of Michael Norman wants to see happen, to see those 2 behind him just race it up so he can pull away. And Norman's trying to go for his first win this season. And he comes in 3rd in points, but he had a rough race last week at Charlotte in the Coke 600 that forced him to drop from 2nd to 3rd in points. And you can tell, look, they are approaching Seth Cole. So you gotta wonder if the 52 is going to be a hazard for these guys or not. And, whoa, they were nearly 3 wide. Now they are 3 wide, and that's for the 3rd spot with Chase Oliver, Matt McIntyre, and Tim Walsh. They can make it work as long as they don't lean or pull up on each other. Now it settles out. And whoa, contact with Walsh and McIntyre, but they save it. I don't know how they saved it, but they did. And look at Cittadino. He's got a slight buckle on his hood, and he's still running up to speed. And he's trying to contend to finish in the top 5. But the caution is out again, and Michael Norman might have just won this race. Not sure as to what happened. It could have been an incident, I think, with Charles Sanford because he's slower. But I think that might have just been the race right there, folks. Michael Norman might have just had this race won, but do they have enough gas? Because remember, it's like the fuel window is very, very short here. So while we wait until we get to the white flag, let's take a look and see what brought the caution out for the fourth and final time here today at Pocono. Well, after seeing this, we might have a new team rivalry within themselves. Jessica Shelton comes up into Charles Sanford. I don't know why. I don't know what was going on there. And these two are teammates from Retro Racing Enterprises. And they both go spinning. Tanner Sullivan gets into the 03 to send him spinning even more. And Steven Guerrero sideswipes the 03 and then he gets into the outside wall. James Qualls, I think, yeah, he does get by. But yeah, I don't know about that. That we might see an inner conflict within Retro Racing Enterprises as a result, because I'm not entirely sure as to why the 02 would run the 03 up the racetrack unless she was just upset that he was slower and he was holding her up. But I don't know. We might have a rivalry on our hands within a team with Sanford versus Shelton potentially, but let's go ahead and take you to the white flag lap here at Pocono. Well, somehow the 32 of Carson Gum is out of the race. He might have had a mishap on pit road potentially. But looks like the race will be official when we come across the line, because I don't think any of these guys have went to pit road under the caution, so it looks like they have enough gas to finish this whole thing off. As we come out of turn 3 to take the checkered flag here in the Pocono 400 and what was a big wreck fest. Hopefully when we come back next season it won't be this way. Checkered flag, Michael Norman is officially the winner of the Pocono 400 at Pocono Raceway. First win this season for that 3 team, and he's been a title contender pretty much all season long, but we still got a long way to go until the chase begins. But let's take a look at the rest of the results. The points leader, Pichu London, comes away with a great finish in second. Great run for Tim Walsh in the third spot. Great performance for Matt McIntyre in the fourth spot. Solid top 5 for Chase Oliver. That could put him back into the top 10 in points. John Cittadino, what a run for him. Despite getting damaged in one of the earlier wrecks, comes away finishing in the 6th position. Chris Michaels, in his 3rd start this season, finally gets a top 10 run in 7th. Nathan Hudson with a solid 8th. Solid 9th place finish for Sky Commons. And then a damaged race car and all, but a great top 10 run for DJ Curtis. Rest of the top 20 was Matt Skoenberger, Sean Galligan, David Rivera, Dorian Facepuncher, Marco Martinez, Kyle Matthews, Tanner Sullivan, Trent Dunham, Jessica Shelton, Steven Guerrero, and then the rest of the cars that finished the race on the lead lap were James Qualls, Charles Sanford, and Charles Jackson. Seth Cole finished 25th, a lap down, but everyone else was out of the race after all the mayhem today. Carson Gum, Carson Scott, Zach Rogers, Johnny Gardner, Connor Morgan, Jesse Setti, Preston Blord, Dylan Young. And man, it's been a rough last few weeks for that 2 team. James McLeod, Austin Mongold, Alex Ferranti, Dougie Shears, Joshua Collard, Chris Washer, Dylan Thoreau, Anthony McCrory, Anthony Ritchie, and Kev Shearer. So that does it for our coverage today here at Pocono. Next week we head to Michigan International Speedway for the LifeLock 400. But until then, here are your results, rookie points and regular points heading into that race. And this is Levi McIntyre signing off.